Guys, we are back at the Heroes of the Storm North American Regionals. As you can see, we have just watched an epic 3-game series between Panda Global and Tempo Storm. Now, Tempo Storm mentioned they thought it might be a 2-0. They were wrong, but they did manage to pull it out at the end, and they will advance. Hi, I'm Anna Prosser Robinson. I'm thrilled to be hanging out with you still here from Burbank, California at the ESL studios and with you at home watching on Twitch. We're having such a good time already. I've already organized a couple of duets that I'm really hoping are going to happen with the pro players. I have been told there's a low chance, but I still choose to be optimistic and believe. Anyway, my singing talents are not the point. The point is Heroes of the Storm. We've already had some great games. And again, let's look at the schedule. We had Panda Global versus Tempo Storm just now concluded. Tempo Storm did win that match, and they will move on in their group. They're going to stay in that upper bracket. Now we're looking to see Team Naventic and King of Blades Alpha face off to see who will fight against Tempo Storm. Remember, though, no one's been eliminated yet, so we're still all happy faces here in the studio. Be sure to let us know who you're rooting for by tweeting with the hashtag HGC. It's been really fun seeing your tweets. So far, someone has asked me, is a hot dog a sandwich on Twitter? They wanted me to pass that on to the players, and I was so mind blown by that I have not actually asked a player until I've decided what my opinion is. But if you have other questions like that, or maybe a little bit more Heroes related, please do feel free to tweet those at me, and I am happy to pass them on to the players. Speaking of the players, it is time to bring them out onto the stage, welcoming for the first time these two teams, and I am very excited to introduce them. You may have known them previously as Bob Ross Fan Club, and they're still painting pretty pictures of domination. It's Team Naventic.
All right, Team Naventic, you can see them here flexing their moves. Zuna, no fashion for him. What? Zuna Kenma, they're so lazy.
No, it's not lazy. It's just when you just become too cool for cool.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it's one of those hard things where you just like slowly evolve your esports levels till they get that point.
They've been on these kind of stages countless times.
Years worth of being on this kind of stage. I mean, it's just like Zuna's been a world competitor at multiple games across the board there. You see Urho there with the glasses as well, and the swagger of how he put them on. But yeah, no, this is definitely a very veteran team, whether it comes from the competitive world or how they play, and it shows in their record. You see 8-0 there, Jake.
I mean, yeah, they haven't dropped a game yet. They actually won in the first qualifier, clutching without dropping a single map, and then we haven't seen them. They've been able to hide their strats. They've been just in their hyperbolic time chamber, training and preparing for this event.
Absolutely, and you see, look at their most picked heroes. It's something that you don't see that much. The Abathur specifically, Toronto makes a little bit of sense. Keep in mind, when they did qualify, Toronto was a very, very influential hero when it came to the picks, but then Abathur is not necessarily something you consider a go-to. So it's going to be interesting to see, does that come into play here today with Naventic?
Yeah, guys, the Nama brothers not really giving us a whole lot of coolness oomph there, but maybe that's just because they stopped leveling. They got so high in levels, they stopped leveling. I like that theory, Dreadnought and Jake. Now, it's time to welcome their challengers. Naventic did qualify very early on for this competition, and the team that they will be facing got in as a last chance. I could say that they were an undisputed underdog, but they are here to show their swagger. Let's see them do it. It's King of Blades Alpha.
Well, with qualifier 1 there for Naventic, these guys, like Anna said, qualified in the 4th and final qualifier. They have so much to prove here on this stage. King of Blades Alpha, representing their organization, one of the 3 teams under King of Blades. They have made it through.
Yeah, and they're definitely a dominant group when it comes to the King of Blades group. You see the record going to be 21-6 here. Definitely, as you said, the underdog story, but look at that. Most picked heroes, Chen. Absolutely love it. Something that I would consider being a high contestant, possibly a little bit here when it comes to this tournament this weekend, evolving coming from the foreign scenes in Korea, pulling that out from time to time here. But King of Blade Alpha, I definitely agree with you. They are the ones, they have something to prove here today. They're against what would be considered kind of the most veteran team here other than Cloud9. Yeah. And whether or not they're going to be able to pull away with a win here, I believe they're part of the Dark Arts. I think they can be the Dark Horse.
Wow, that is the bold statement. Can they do it? We'll find out soon.
Ooh, the dark arts. We need to get maybe some Snape in here. I don't know. I'm liking this Dreadnought. I'm liking this feel. And now, as we move into the haunted and eerie, magical world of the draft, casters, what do you think is going to happen here?
Oh, man. Well, you know, just going back to what Bob Ross Fan Club, or now Naventic, has done in the past, they're a team that is not afraid to go deep. They will invade your jungle, invade your mercenary camps in almost any scenario, and they just play with heavy aggression.
Absolutely. Aggression is the name of the game when it comes to Naventic. One thing that I do think we're going to see a lot of when it comes to these drafts is I still think Zeratul will be a high influence point. I do think Abathur might be something we see if it's a larger end of the map, but a hero that we didn't see so much of the first set that I think will come out a little bit more here is going to be Sonya. I think Sonya is going to be a contention point for both of these teams, and how well they're going to be able to use that hero and synergize with her, and that she's just a very, very strong one, and how well they're going to be able to capitalize is going to be crucial.
Yeah, I mean, her heavy initiation, her sustain, her presence in the fight, she's basically a melee assassin. A lot of the times, if you can't get Thrall, she fills a very similar role to that hero.
The real thing that I want to be looking forward to is what if we see the one, the true, the leap? I don't think it's I don't know if it's going to be a go-to strategy here, but I definitely think that it might be something we see pulling out. Like I said, I think this is going to be the evolution of the meta all in one tournament, and I would not be surprised to say that. Number one, I definitely think Sonya is a contention point. I know that Zuna has loved that hero for a long period of time. It fits with their play, aggression, beefy front lines, you know, just go in, you invade. But then also I do feel like both of these teams kind of prioritize her a little bit different than the rest of the scene.
The only thing that's cooler than Bloodlust is a washing machine. When you pick up the level 20 on the leap for Sonya,
absolutely,
with the barrel upgrades on Chen, and you just go around like a washing machine within the crater.
You're not wrong. There is nothing cooler in the game other than that. The washing machine is a decent strategy, except the problem with it is you have to get to level 20. And it turns out there's 19 levels before that at the professional level are really, really relevant.
They should fix that. Make that a level 1 talent.
Exactly. You should honestly, it should be like a Cho'Gall pairing. You pick Sonya and instantly you get Chen, and then it's just like level 1, the washing machine was born.
I want to play that.
I'm in there.
Even if I could have a custom mode where I just get that. But realistically, though, I mean, we're going to see a lot more prioritization of Falstad. We haven't seen Falstad yet today. We've seen him banned.
Yes.
But we often see McIntyre playing a lot of Falstad. Not only does he have crazy presence for those tall maps where he can fly in and really make those big, you know, just kind of be there at a moment's notice, but he's also like just the Mighty Gust that we see, aggressive Mighty Gust, flying into position to push the enemies into a corner with big follow-ups from heroes like Jaina. I've seen him do crazy things.
No, I definitely agree with you there. I think that is going to be a very good contention point, and it's a hero that they definitely like to pick up on. I think we will see maybe a little bit of Stitches dancing around for both sides. Tassadar as well will be a heavy influence. There's not going to be anything really that crazily different. The only one that I might be looking out for here is going to be Cho'Gall. I think that might be something that we will see kind of Naventic specifically kind of gravitate towards at any time that they can. So.
All right, well, we'll be finding out very soon. We are setting up for the draft in this first game for the best of 3 series, and it looks like our battleground is going to be Blackheart's Bay.
That is interesting.
You know, we were just talking about Falstad. We were just talking about their ability to dive, and this is like one of the most memorable situations where I've seen Naventic go deep. I mean, just the top bruiser camp on the left side invading...
You can time it with the mini wave to where you can invade it to where they have no idea to see you, as long as you stay low and you let the mini wave go through, because the mini waves mirror each other, right? So if you can see your mini wave, you know that theirs isn't going to be there. So then you kind of just like sneak on through, and then you just get in their night camp and just be like, hey guys, we're here, and you're all, because if that early in the game, it's going to lead to like very easy picks. So yeah, no, Naventic definitely capitalizing wherever they can. Aggression. They absolutely love it. So yeah, and when we were talking about Sonya and a little bit of the kind of the melee assassins, this map is one that definitely accents that style of play, kind of sitting there jungling, if you will, and looking to capitalize all the coins, make it National Bank of Sonya, and eventually get a turn in for a win.
Yeah, so, I mean, other than Falstad, who else is really highly prioritized? What about Abathur? You think Abathur has a strong presence here on this map?
He has a decent one when it comes to this map. He does struggle a little bit when it comes to early game, but later in the game, he can be terrifying. If your team dominates the coins, it allows Abathur to get a lot of split pressure on the map, especially 13 and 16 with that kind of locus-oriented build, and it's something that is very, very hard to deal with. You're stuck at a point where you go, well, we'll just fight him at the turn-in, and then Abathur goes, I'm just going to split push top, and then you go, okay, okay, we'll just back out and clear top. And then he goes, well, then we'll just turn in 4 versus 5. It's so hard to deal with that kind of strat. And with Fan being a phenomenal Abathur player, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that come out.
Well, Abathur, a potential, another hero could be ETC.
Yeah, I think he will be a contention point. I don't think he will be a unique one or higher or lower for any reason when it comes to the specific setup. I definitely think we'll see play. He's one of the best heroes in the game, without a doubt, when it comes to the tank role. I just don't know if I think anybody will be like that sweet stage dive like strategy or anything else. I think Diablo will be something we might see, specifically when it comes to the King of Blade style play. I think it's something that works with their style play a little bit more than some of the other teams. And I think Greymane.
Greymane.
Not so much just with KoB, I think it would be for almost every team. I think Greymane's going to be a hot topic, I would argue, for almost the entire tournament. I don't think he'll be 100% play, but I definitely think he's going to be a hero that we see teams kind of go like, you act like you forgot about it, and they lock it in, and it just ruins the draft. And you're like, wow, they just won so hard.
So what is Brightwing's power on this map, too? You think there's a little bit more room for Brightwing to be played here? I mean, she's obviously picking up room in the meta, but this map is it the tallest map in the entire game?
I believe it's the second most.
Next to Sky Temple?
I would actually, I think I don't know, actually. I don't know what the most vertical map. It might be BHB. That's a good question. I have to test that out. I don't honestly know, but it is really influential when it comes to how the map's going to be played, especially, like you said, globals are very, very valuable because it's kind of the same Abathur problem, right? If you have the coins on your side, then Brightwing's just going to go, okay, with that Arcane Flare, getting that extra siege out, split pushing as best you can. You're like, respond to Brightwing, and then she just goes, I mean, I'm really good at murder, and then just teleport in, and then proceed to either take a 4 versus 5, or you give up a free turnip, which is debatably harder to deal with than the Brightwing split pushing in the first place.
Well, Brightwing, everyone's favorite fairy dragon. Let's take a look at a hero spotlight for Brightwing.
Oh, hi, new friend. I am Brightwing. Do you know about fairy dragons? Well, we like happy things, like nature and making new friends. Ooh, and snack time. When playing with friends, the fun never ends. Hey, come back.
Man, Brightwing, she looks cute, but she's vicious.
She's terrifying. And when you play her, you just question like your own sanity sometimes. You're like, oh, this is an adorable voice, and then you're just like, wait a minute, this is pretty dark.
Yeah, it is. Man, I miss Emerald Wind so much.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not that it's completely gone. It's just it doesn't really fit what is the optimal level of play with. She just struggles at being a healer of any kind at that point. You're like, if you're picking Brightwing for the sake of an Emerald Wind, you might as well be picking something like ETC. He provides an not equal, but close to equal AoE CC, debatably a little bit better, and light AoE healing with that groupies-oriented play. Like, it's just she struggles on so many fronts that blink heal is almost necessary for her, which is kind of why she gets paired even with that with double healer sometimes. She just isn't necessarily the best healer in the game, but she is very versatile in play styles.
So beyond the global presence in heroes, beyond Greymane being highly contested, where do you think Cho'Gall fits in this map, right? And just in this map in general, it's a very tall 3-lane map.
Yeah.
You're giving up a body to pick up Cho'Gall, so it makes it a little bit more, complicated to make sure you maximize your soak. Do you think he's at all viable here?
I don't think there's a map that I would say Cho'Gall is not viable on. I think he is a strong enough hero that I would say he has viability in a lot of areas. I just don't know if I would say he excels, largely because of that rotational disadvantage.
Right.
If with the larger maps, if a opponent is going to take a heavy or split push oriented composition, the 2-man force rotations that he draws, much like Abathur, suffers from the same thing, where they just have to kind of overcommit resources to one section to defend a split pushing composition, and then you can capitalize somewhere else on the map with then taking front walls. That, if you can manipulate that even harder to get a bigger XP lead over your opponents, you can essentially snowball into winning a game.
Now, let's talk about Fan very quickly. You see him on screen. This guy has made quite the name for himself.
He has.
Champion of Heroes of the Dorm. champion of BlizzCon 2015. No one else has titles like that they can show.
No, he is hands down the most well-decorated Heroes of the Storm player, debatably, well, actually ever.
So interesting because ever since we saw Fan traded for Arthlon between Cloud9 and Naventic,
Yeah.
a lot of people said, this might take away from their aggressive style because Arthlon fits just, a standard ranged assassin, right?
Yeah.
And he works well. But Fan, with that Abathur, giving so much more of kind of this control, omnipresent style of play to the team, has lended to their strength so much.
I agree with you. I think more than anything what it's done is it hasn't taken away from their ability to be aggressive, because I definitely think the remainder of the players love that aggression. What it's done is kind of been like that beautiful balance, the yin and yang. He's like, wait a minute, guys. What if we just kind of...
yin and yang. His name is Fan Yang. You need to stop.
Got him. Anyways, it's one of those situations where it's just like, it's like very much like he can dictate the pace of the game through wave manipulation, through soaking and everything else. And it doesn't even have to be on Abathur. He very much is the really great balance to the aggression that exists within Naventic.
I'm still so tilted. I'm so tilted.
I am max tipped after that one. I can tell you that.
All right, well, King of Blades Alpha really getting their focus on, but you can see the lighthearted, the giggles that turned into strain. Oh my goodness, he realized he's on stage here trying to qualify for the World Finals.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a team that most likely this, for a lot of the players, is going to be their first lane. KoB has a lot to prove here. But I think they have it. Like I said, I feel like if I was going to give a credit to any team here as what I think would be the most impressive showing from a team that we would consider to be not the kind of the veteran overlords of the scene that have been kind of hanging around for a long time, that's the team I give it to.
I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Vivi. He was the admin there on the side of Naventic. I've worked with that guy for like 8 years now, Dreadnought. It's a small world here in the esports industry.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, but a lot of it, I think, like I said, I feel like the pick bans for these two teams are going to be interesting. I do think that Naventic will go out of their way to not show anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you might see them, Chen. You might see them...
I hope so.
You might see them do something just, they just don't want to... They even... I mean, heck, they might even Chen Abathur. They could Chen Illidan. They could go Undying Comp. That was an old school strategy. One of the original 2-arc versions ran that about 8 months ago.
You just sit there, you drink your brew, you keep those shields up, and Abathur Hat just pokes you down, and they've actually buffed Symbiote since that style has been in play.
Yeah.
And with the less priority on stuns like Gravity Lapse in the meta, that only helps Chen be more viable, because his biggest weakness is having his trait, the Chug, be interrupted, because that will disrupt his ability to really sustain. But a nice small indirect nerf to Chen, I would say, is the amplified damage the towers now do to heroes. Back in the day, Chen would really just walk up to the towers and drink. And that's a little bit more punishing if he's ever caught out.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. He is a hero that definitely has a spot in the meta, but where is it's very hit or miss. Kind of like some of the other picks that we've seen though. A lot of the picks are no longer is the game kind of universally strong picks are what dominate the draft. It is very niche and calculated picks at every point. The priority is honestly, it's beautiful to watch the scene kind of develop the way that it has recently here. I mean, even to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if we even saw something like a Murky. I mean, Vikings. It's about to get real in the Whole Foods parking lot. I mean,
it's going to go down, and we're going to save some dollars. Whole Foods has great prices on pasta. I'm not going to call it Whole Foods. So, guys, just another bit of a shout out to Blizzard and Twitch for making it all available to get a new portrait in the game by connecting your Battle.net ID to your Twitch account. Go to your Twitch account settings, link your Battle.net ID, and you can get yourself a free portrait just from tuning into the stream today.
I mean, it's awesome. I did it myself personally because I wanted to get a part of that sweet, sweet portrait. Sadly, I won't be changing it. I'm one true Abathur portrait. It's the only way to go for me.
You were telling me about this, that it's because it's just...
I just like the symmetry of it. I found it appealing. The reason I started playing this game was because Abathur. I saw his kit, and I was like, a MOBA with that kind of stuff going to it? Like, what? And then
that's the cool thing about Heroes of the Storm, because a lot of people have told me the same thing about Cho'Gall.
Yeah.
They heard about Cho'Gall, and they just get together with a buddy and try the game out, and Cho'Gall being free, when he was released during the plague of Cho'Gall, as I like to call it, because it just spreads from one person to the next. They're definitely a big draw to a lot of people.
No, it very much is. The creativity of the kits are absolutely a selling point when it comes to a lot of these heroes, and it's what drew me. And then that mixed with I just find his entire logical decision. Like that whole thing about him is really sweet. I've always appreciated about them. So he is my one true portrait. But yeah, you guys can get your own portraits. But we see we're about to get a draft rotated in here. Naventic versus King of Blades Alpha. Right out the gates, Thrall ban, and then moved into a Rhaegar ban on the part of that Naventic.
Man, why does everyone hate orcs?
Gonna be looking to get that first pick here. I honestly feel like they can take this a lot of different ways. I'm not even gonna begin to try and calculate a lot of what Naventic's draft's gonna be, because I feel like they are going to be hiding as much as they possibly can.
We can't dodge around the fact that this is the team that qualified in the first qualifier versus the team that qualified in the fourth qualifier.
Absolutely.
So generally speaking, that's first seed versus fourth seed.
Yeah,
or
I mean, and it goes past that too, like just experience within Heroes of the Storm competitive scene, just competitive gaming overall. There's a lot of advantages going to be sitting on the side of Naventic, but like I said, don't count out King of Blades Alpha.
No, definitely not, definitely not. Well, we do see Zagara picked up very early, just strong. You want that very powerful solo laner to throw in the bottom lane. Zagara, she can creep up all the vents, all the flanks that exist in that lane, and safely control the entire space. Yeah,
with the removal of Thrall, it makes her even a more dominant pick up there. They do see Lunara right out the gates. This makes me excited and also fearful. I feel like if they do not understand exactly what they're going to try and make happen within the rest of this draft, that they might be very heavily punished by Naventic, but they could have a beautiful pocket strat out here. Like, remember, they're considered the underdogs. They might right out the gates just say, you know what, we're going to hit you with something you don't expect.
Yeah, it's true, and they might be mixing things up. What will that next pick be? I mean, there's a lot of big options. Falstad, we talked about his power, but they're going to go for Tassadar. So Naventic, McIntyre could be on that Falstad. They could give Zuna Zeratul. They could give a number of things to their team that would just be incredibly powerful.
I think Zeratul or Sonya, something of the like. I think that there's no chance that they give both of those up here, but I guess that's me saying I wouldn't predict the draft because they're going to hide things, but then predicting it, I just feel like a melee assassin to deny kind of. Zeratul is going to be a little bit hard into the Tassadar, but it is a good counter into the Lunara. But again, I think Sonya is a really good hot topic here when it comes to their draft. And there it is. Sonya's going to be locked in.
Man, I cannot do that battle cry as well. Gilly does it perfectly.
Does she lay it down?
Man, it's flawless.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I wish I could. And then we do see what are they going to rotate the rest of this draft into? I don't think Falstad will be the go-to. It could be. It's going to be the Li Ming. Okay, I like that pick far better on their side. And they got a lot going for them in the remainder of this draft. Their pick ban from this point out, I think they're going to be prioritizing ETC wherever possible. They also, like I said, ETC is going to be banned out there though. So Kings of Blade Alpha, that ban right there, we saw Tempo do that in one of the drafts earlier. They are saying we have a type of hero, like a tank, that we want to be picking up. When no team has the tank and they ban it and they have the first pick rotation, and him being one of the most dominant tanks in the game, they have an idea of what they're looking for. And I think that's crucial with that first pick Lunara.
Well, Team Naventic doesn't want to worry about the big global presence of Abathur, so they opt to ban him out here. Very powerful hero here on Blackheart's Bay. Now, King of Blades, they need to consider what do they want. Do they want that Muradin for one of those big warrior options, or do they go for Stitches with the vision of Tassadar?
Yeah, I honestly don't know what they're going to move in this situation. I think a melee is what you would expect, but then they've, I think Zeratul is like kind of what they would go to. It's just, I don't know if they're going to be able to walk away with it and make very good, successful decision-making, I guess. It's kind of hard to play into a Sonya in the Zag, and I guess a lot of that just comes down to how confident I am and like the skill level in Naventic. I just feel like Zeratul is it has to be played almost perfectly to make a lot of big plays here, but it could be what sets them apart in this game.
All right, well, they're thinking about that last pick. They go for Brightwing. Brightwing, Tassadar, the double heal combo, and the global presence of that hero can have a huge impact. Naventic might want to grab Falstad as a response.
I think with the 3 ranges going to be picked up, or not ranges, but DPS, I don't think there's a chance.
You're right.
They're just going to lock in a tank.
Single Sonya Warrior?
Yeah. The new meta. Honestly, they could. I would not be surprised if they risk it. I want to see them pull out Chen. Personally, I would like to see Chen, and I would like to see...
Do we get our washing machine dream, Dreadnought?
Oh, jeez, please. No, I don't know if it would be the washing machine more so. I think I would like to see kind of a different tank, pull away from the standard there. A Chen... Okay, they're going to go with the JoJo. They aren't going to take any risks here. Okay.
Okay, the Diablo babes. They got all 3 of them.
Yeah,
oh, no, where's Vala? I'm so sad now.
Where are you at?
She got left out.
I don't know, man. Last pick up here coming out for them is going to be the support. What do we think?
Karazim?
Karazim's a very comfort pick there when it comes to Kenma. Great Karazim player. I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to go with somebody else
Medic
as well. Medic is one of the other ones I would be willing to consider. Or we've seen responses from teams going Malfurion as an answer to Lunara. Both of those teams losing. don't like it, but I wouldn't be totally surprised by it. Personally, I would like to see them go with, okay, they're going to lock in the Uther. I like that pairing. It's going to work well with the Sonya, provide a lot of DPS and hard engage there. It's going to be a good soft counter to the Brightwing as well. Trying to polymorph out the Sonya, let's say Cleanse is down, for instance, you're going to have the D-Shield. She's still going to be able to spin to win, heal it up really good there. And then what is the lap pick here? I personally think it's, I don't know. It's got to be Falstad or Zeratul.
Huh.
Okay. They need a sustained kind of DPS or something. They need something big,
Could
right?
Illidan work in this situation? I mean, there's a lot of stuns. It's kind of risky, isn't it?
Like it's an option. Do I think it's the right one? I don't know. It's a good map for Illidan. It's a great map for Illidan. I just don't think you are Illidan and Sonya. Like Sonya eats Illidan alive.
True.
Like she just crushes them. Okay, they're gonna go with the Greymane. I expected Zeratul to come into play when it came to this draft here somewhere. The Sonya that I did think that these teams were going to prioritize did actually happen, but other than that, all right. Catching me off guard. I did not expect that to come out from these team comps here.
Very interesting to see Zeratul just make it through an entire draft like this. I mean, quite often, Zeratul has a huge impact.
He does. And like I said, it comes down to like the diversity of the meta that exists right now. It's like not every pick is like universally strong picks. It's just like a very well calculated, rounded thing, and that's what's coming into play here. I don't know if I think Greymane is the answer. I feel like their early game is so crippled on King of Blades Alpha right now. It's like when you think about, well, all right, level 5, like 5 through 13, you're gonna skirmish into Naventic. How are you gonna win these fights? You don't. You just try to split soak. So that's what I'm worried. Like Lunara has a great heal, a great character, awesome. Tassadar is not the best DPS by any means, on any front really. And then you have the Greymane who spikes really hard. He does okay. But he's no Sonya. I mean, you want to go wolf form into there, and she's gonna look at you and be like, "Oh yeah," and just kill you. Like you don't even have to leap. She's just gonna look at you, give you a stern look, like raise that one eyebrow, and just be like, "Nah, dude, just stank you out."
Ruin your day.
Exactly.
The full
I mean,
eye.
that seismic slam absolutely hurts with Wrath of the Berserker and everything else.
So expect a lot of aggression out of Naventic in the early parts of the game, just because
I think 1 through 9, it's not even really close. A lot of it's going to come down to Brightwing soaking, and then past that point, I think 1 through 13, Naventic has a very strong composition. Post 16, I think both teams are roughly on even footing, and it comes down to skill at that point. But I feel like because 1 through 13 is so heavily won, in my opinion, by Naventic, that I'm afraid that they won't be on even footing to where 16 doesn't
Especially
matter.
when you consider the fact that it's all about rotating around, collecting those coins. But we do see the players have chosen their heroes. Fan going to be on Li Ming, Kenma playing Uther, Zuna going to be on that Sonya, McIntyre on Zagara, and Urho for Johanna for Team Naventic.
And then we're going to see on Kings of Blade Alpha, Talking Trees will be playing the Tassadar, Killusion will be playing the Muradin, Dark Chimera will be on that Brightwing, Frozen X is going to be on Lunara, and Tomster is going to be on the Greymane. He is definitely a player to be looking out for when it comes to their composition. He is a very, very great player and a great Greymane.
Alrighty, guys. Well, game number 1 on Blackheart's Bay has begun between Team Naventic and King of Blades Alpha. We are loading on in here on the blue side. We have Naventic rocking a Cloud9 mount.
Nice.
Someday we'll have mounts for everyone.
I mean, I want one. I want a mount like that. I mean, hello? Could I win Worlds, please?
Good luck, man. Being a caster, winning Worlds, it's going to be tough.
I mean, he's representing his own mount, too. I can respect that. So they are going to be looking to get this skirmish here up in the early part of the game. Honestly, level 1, we talked about it a little bit here. Tassadar and Brightwing together, like if they get a little bit of pick in isolation, they're going to be okay. But keep in mind, this is a 4 versus 5. King of Blades Alpha full rotating here. Zag's going to get free creep down there.
Yeah, going to really solidify her position in the bottom of the map. Zagara just kind of making sure she has as much control, controlling the bottom vents, now moving up and actually getting that creep to her near where the chest will spawn, and now the bottom. There will be a rotation. It's going to be Brightwing trying to lane against Zagara.
She doesn't do that bad. Keep in mind, both these teams didn't clear the upper wave first. Zuna now going to rotate up that. The chest will be spawning at 50 seconds, but Brightwing can heal pretty well, right? She does lose the lane overall, but she doesn't like get bullied out of it like most heroes do. So now the early rotation, Naventic having a 3-man rotation here, a little bit of the XP being met. Neither team capitalizing on that. Bottom starting will go to the Zagara, but up here, that's a pretty good skirmish here. Naventic really walking away with big win, spin to win there. A really good job taking that. And again, it comes down to that early game story we were talking about, right? Look at the bottom half of the map. McIntyre walks away with 4. On the upper half of the map, we see they walk away with 5 more. So now 9 coins out of the 10 that were available were picked up by Naventic. And you're going to watch Zuna just kind of dance around the map a lot of it. And he's going to be trying to get a lot of these camps that are going to spawn at the 2-minute mark, right? He's going to collect them all and then get a little bit of a turn in. If you have the coins on this map, you dictate the pace of the game. And you're going to watch Naventic really try and capitalize on that here.
All right, just getting an update there in the bottom lane. Zagar is already starting to push into the towers versus Brightwing. We do see that, and the big siege here in the mid from Li Ming. But you can see that half the ammunition is gone on both of these towers, and the problem is going to continue to persist as long as Brightwing's here. Sure, the self-pulse healing will keep Brightwing from dying as long as she plays safe.
Yeah.
And but the issue is that they need rotations. They need to respond to Zagara, and here it is.
Absolutely. It's one of those situations where they just don't have like the laning presence here, and I feel like a lot of it is just kind of their comp decision. Like, it started from, honestly, the Lunara pick, in my opinion, and a lot of it there, the front wall. Now, what that front wall means for the Naventic is when they turn in, it will 100% ensure the fact that that fort falls, and there will be no opportunity to mule. Tassadar having the opportunity to pick up that mule and heal it up there as best as possible. But then, look at that isolation, trying to get on these camps. Zuna and Kenma both zoning out here. That's what I was talking about. Zuna just wants to pick up all the coins. He knows if he gets the coins, he dictates the pace of the map.
All right, Fan having to teleport to safety. The heals were there from Kenma. Nicely done, but Greymane starting to chunk out that damage. Kenma getting very low. The Ancient Spear from Zuna to try to back away, but Kenma does end up falling. The first death of the game. Now Zuna very low. 4 gems will be dropped there, but the pull-in with the towers in range, and the big orb goes out and takes out Brightwing.
That was huge on their part, honestly. They didn't walk away with any of the coins, really. I guess a few of them. They walk away from having 1 to now 5 coins going to be sitting in favor of King of Blades Alpha, so that was really big on their part. But to look at the bottom lane, 1 turret is going to be lost at this point. No ammo whatsoever either, so they're in a situation to where they have a very, very large advantage over their opponents. Naventic still their game to kind of lose at this point, but that was definitely a misplay, a little bit over-aggressive here.
Yeah,
from them.
Good capitalization there by King of Blades Alpha. Just those early kills, it's a confidence booster as well for them. That's for sure. Teams very even in XP, actually dead even at level 6 so far. And looking at the builds, we are seeing a bit of a mix-up. No perfect aim here for Greymane. Gonna just opt to try to keep up that Berserk as often as possible. Full phase shift build for Brightwing. They want to have that peekaboo for the vision, and this allows Tassadar to not have to spec into Oracle. He can go for that Leeching Plasma at level 4.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it's going to come down to, like I said, this early game. I want to see Naventic try and concentrate turn-ins a little bit earlier than they have been. You see Sonya trying to get that night camp there. She's very good at that, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Zuna is going to be the national bank of Sonya this game, ladies and gentlemen. Li Ming getting great harass there, Fan doing a good job, and it's just going to come down to poke, 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 and then try and turn in whenever you can, never risking anything. And that early fight was a little bit of showing that they risked maybe a little bit too much, but they didn't lose enough to really set them that far behind. It's 15-7 in the coin count, Jake.
Yeah, it's very much in favor of, over a double here for Team Naventic. But Brightwing does have Giants helping push out that bottom lane. The second spawn of the chests is upon us, and it looks like Naventic will be in position first for the top chest.
Yeah, and Zagar's trying to capitalize on that bottom chest there. Collusion's going to rotate down, and on the upper half, they are going to just walk away with that chest as quick as they possibly can. It's a situation where they're losing kind of on all fronts here when it comes to Collusion. They aren't, not Collusion, excuse me, King of Blade Alpha. Zuna's going to try and posture up for that turn-in along with Urho. This will be a 2v1 situation. He'll get the delay, and the teams will try and make a rotation here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Naventic, yeah, he's not going to risk a little bit too much, but now that their opponents do have 10 to turn in, that turn-in and how they fight around it's crucial. Keep in mind, if the turn-in happens, Naventic's going to get a full fort, but King of Blade Alpha will not. So that XP will be really heavily spiked.
Look at the difference in efficiency of Greymane versus Sonya trying to get a mercenary camp. I mean, Greymane was just getting bullied by the Bruisers. And we do see Brightwing having to phase shift in. Now, we do see Peekaboo just kind of giving vision on, but Zuna is there. The Ancient Spear connecting, forcing out that polymorph. That leaves Murden very vulnerable. Dwarf Toss has been cast. The shields from Tassadar, and Collusion able to back on out.
That was one of those situations that you were talking about, that night camp that Tomster was working on that Greymane. What that did is you saw kind of that dance around where nobody was willing to do anything, that little bit of a posturing here and there on the side of Naventic. The minute that was capped, they recognized there was not going to be a full 5v5 fight, and Zuna gets an aggressive flank positioning. That is the difference between a mid-level and a top-tier level play. Like, they understand they are not together, capitalize and push as hard as you possibly can. Naventic, again, showing why they are considered one of the more dominant teams here at the Spring Championship here.
Dominant or not, this is a huge push in the top lane with the Knights to take out the wall, and they actually get through half of the health bar of this fort, so it is a big win here for King of Blades Alpha to really stay on par in experience. But with that siege of Blackheart just shredding through the mid fort and taking it out, Team Naventic now has level 10.
Absolutely. Not only do they have level 10, they have coin advantage as well. The skirmish in the mid lane, not going to be anything too crazy here, but they have a lot of coins sitting on Zuna once more. You're going to see him try and lock in a little bit of the more coins and then try and force a turn in again. And because the structures, look at bottom, almost lost an entire front wall. Mid fort completely down, top front wall already done. Every turn in on the side of Naventic is going to be far more valuable than on the side of King of Blade Alpha. It's much like Sky Temple, right? For every structure you gain outside of the turn in, it snowballs harder and harder. The only difference is the XP gets higher and higher, but collusion there, Sonya getting very aggressive.
Yeah, Zuna is going in, decides to back away. The force wall has been cast in the maw just to ensure the death of Tassadar. A big pickup, they're stealing some gems in another full turn in. They've got 22 coins right now, Dreadnought.
Absolutely, and it's essentially what you saw at the beginning half of this game. They're going to push even harder and harder. So they're going to rotate bottom, they're going to take the fort, they're going to try and force this 4 vs 5. If they don't manage to get this, they're going to say, okay, that's fine. We have so many coins, we're going to back out, and we're going to turn in again. And now you're going to see this is the snowball of Blackheart's Bay. You get the coins, you dictate the pace of the game, you never risk anything. The talent tier advantage will slowly creep in here in favor of Naventic, and it's all come down to the advantage that they managed to get in the laning phase and the really heavy jungling-esque style play you see from Zuna. And
I love what Urho is doing. He's soaking 2 lanes at once. He's controlling this watchtower. Sure, we did see Lunar was able to take out that top fort, which is a nice small victory for King of Blades Alpha, but Urho is just keeping the XP flowing at maximum potential.
Yeah, and it's now a situation, look at that, Naventic about to hit 13 tier advantage, so now what they're going to do is try and force the turn in. If their opponents decide to take this turn in, they're going to force the fight. If they don't stop the turn in, then guess what? You got to turn in for free, and now because of all those structures, I don't know if you looked around the map, but can you point out a King of Blade Alpha fort for me really quick?
No, they're not there, Dreadnought.
As a matter of fact, they're all gone.
They've been deleted from the game.
8 minutes into the game, about to turn in and threaten to keep front wall already.
Okay.
Naventic hugely.
Urho looking for the flank collusion. Does he have Dwarf Toss? We do see Disintegrate doing a good bit of damage in the Ancient Spear follow-up, but the Force Wall is on point there.
It's a situation where, yeah, they get the Force Wall and they survive, but it's like, what did you, like, congratulations, you didn't fall farther behind. There comes going to be another turn in on your side. The 13 tier advantage is going to be in favor of them, so now they're going to wait it out. Yeah, there's another turn in, so now this turn in is going to be threatening. The front wall on the keep is already gone, in case you didn't know that. So now we are threatening a keep already on the side of Naventic. Almost 9 minutes into this game. Now look at Zuna. He's not hesitating. He's going back. Guess what? He's going to start jungling. The coins are all that matters, and they're going to dictate the pace of this game.
Oh,
Naventic.
no. Brightwing being caught out here in the bottom. There's no target that's blink heal range quite yet. Body blocks are great from Kenma. The Hammer of Justice not going to go out, so Chimera manages to get on out.
Yeah, he does survive, but it's not going to be still a pretty picture painted here on the side of King of Blade Alpha. Only a level lead disadvantage. The coins are going to be sitting heavily in their favor at this front, but now they're losing another front wall on the bottom half of the map. This is what we were talking about. A keep is already down. Oh, Jake.
Zuna taking a lot of damage. Brightwing face shifting in. So much poison there from Lunara. The Ancient Spirit not going to be enough to save Zuna, and he does fall. This time around, he has no coins, so it's not the biggest of deals, but that does get King of Blades Alpha level 13 to try to stabilize in this game.
That's a situation where they did make a pretty big comeback, but not because of the pick there, but mainly because the chest spawned at the exact same time. Really well done on their part. Not only did, but they didn't capitalize on the chest. They only got 1 of the 2 there with the kill advantage, so they do get a pretty big lead considering how far behind they were, but I don't know if I would necessarily say that they're going to be in a advantageous situation quite yet. They are going to get another turn in. It will only be threatening a fort comparative to a keep on the side of Naventic, but it's going to be an uphill battle from this point on. But plus side to this is King of Blade Alpha is now slowly getting to the point where their composition is very threatening comparative to that of Naventic.
Right. I mean, sure, they're down a level in experience, but this turn-in it's their first turn-in in the game. That's a big deal for them. They did lose a keep. That's rough, that's for sure. But they're slowly trying to creep back on into this game. The problem being is half a level before we have Team Naventic at level 16.
Yeah, and that's one of those situations where that 20 coins that they have is pretty much going to be useless until they fall on even footing. By that time, roughly, you'll see that they'll be at 16, but yes, their opponents will be at 17 trying to make it to the race to 20. But a pick on the upper half of the map, Collusion trying to force the fight here is going to be enough. Brightwing's not going to be able to TP quite yet here, Jake. This is very risky.
Beautiful condemn with that Disintegrate of Li Ming doing a ton of damage. Look how low that Lunara is in the back. We do see a huge orb going out from Fan. A big force ball and a two-man maw followed up. Urho looking to follow up on this. The Banelings are in place, but we do see Tomster able to back on out of there. He is alive. Zuna looking for the Ancient Spear. Disintegrate already off cooldown, but not quite enough damage. In a beautiful force wall there from Talking Trees, but Zuna continuing in on the approach.
16 tier advantage is a J for Naventic, so it wouldn't be, or Naventic, excuse me. So the chase there is not surprising at all. He does take the healing there at 7, which is keeping him up a little bit. They're going to stack a lot of the coins, try and turn in while they have 16 tier advantage, and their opponents are down a man. Meanwhile, Giants are threatening the bottom keep, but it's not going to be doing too much here. Slowly but surely, they're going to be trying to make something happen, but Naventic now has enough to turn in, and it's going to be a very hard game here. This will be threatening the top keep now at this point. Once that falls, the bottom keep will be very susceptible as well because the front wall is down, and it's just one of those things where the map objective is so influential on this map, and even though Naventic doesn't have that big of a lead, structurally their lead is so huge that it's going to be very hard to see KoB come back here. They're still working on 16, and when they do, it's going to be rough. They're going to be taking, again, a disadvantage fight.
So the last 2 to 3 minutes in this game, Lunara has left her Wisp at the boss, just really watching the boss. Do you think that's a worthwhile use of the Wisp? Do you think they should be trying to move it around a little bit more frequently?
It's one of those situations where it's kind of useful, but on Blackheart's Bay, most of the time you either know your opponent's turning in or you know they're bossing, so it will kind of remove that situation for them. I think they definitely could be min-maxing it a little bit more efficiently, right? But I wouldn't say that it was poor play by any means. I just feel like they could be using it at different areas for sure, because the boss is pretty predictable for the most part when it comes to this map. And I don't think you're going to see Naventic try and concentrate that, because the boss honestly isn't that influential on this map. Turn-ins are way, way, way more important.
Well, 2 keeps are down, and the 3rd and final keep of King of Blades Alpha is weak, but level 16 has been achieved, and this is when Lunara starts to become quite a threat in the late game, just the long drawn-out fights, especially with double support. If they're able to get in those situations and maybe get an early pick onto that Li Ming, King of Blades Alpha can definitely bring it back.
This is crucial. So not only does this fight, obviously it's very important because both teams are on even footing. Whatever team wins gets 15 coins, which is a turn-in for both sides. So they essentially give up a turn-in no matter what, but look how split they are right now. KoB is completely separated from each other in the 4 vs 5. Great mod here, Jake. This is going to be a risky team fight.
Yeah, Collusion is getting burned down. They swap the Disintegrate over to the single target, but the flank there from Frozen X on Lunara doing a lot of damage. They're turning it around. We do see the nice Divine Shield used to keep Zuna standing. The poly going out, and that is going to be a dead Urho early in this fight. Tomster in the back trying to go back in with that wolf form. Gets the kill. They're turning around. King of Blades might have this, but Fan trying to snowball with Li Ming, doing so much damage from afar, and there goes Lunara.
The resets are going to get more kills here. You need to watch out for another W, but Li Ming's actually at this point, so this is a really risky situation. The coins favor did stay on the side of King of Blade Alpha, but they're going to lose a lot of the chest. Their opponents get the bottom half. This is so risky. So now, so this is a situation where they're not getting both of the chests. They're going to give up both of the chests. So they didn't, their opponents went bottom. Naventic got bottom, but King of Blade Alpha backs out and doesn't try and capitalize on getting top chests. So yes, they did keep a majority of those coins in their favor, but they actually ran into a situation to where they weren't able to essentially trade the coins in that situation. I really would have liked to see that out of them. And honestly, that was really well done on their part. That's the first time we saw a pretty even footing team fight coming out from them, and King of Blades Alpha finally showing life in their composition. Not so much because of a misplay, but just their comp was so late game, right? They finally hit that point, and you saw they put up a very good team fight against Naventic.
And I just want to point out the fact that they were like trying to burn Li Ming at one point in that fight, and the power of Diamond Skin
was
insane. Really shown off there. Like, so much of that Lunara damage was absorbed by the shield every time Li Ming decided to teleport.
Yeah, and she's gotten essentially full tank build, if you will, when it comes to Li Ming. She has a maximum value there. Brightwing staying off to the sides to try and min-max the XP. Wisp going again to the top for the map to ensure the fact that they aren't getting bossed on. And again, the winner of this team fight, look how many coins are on the line for this fight. 36 coins between these two teams. If a full 5 wipe happens here, Jake.
Oh, barely doesn't get the turn in. We see Naventic able to just pressure them off the point. That is a big win, but yeah, 21-17. I mean, Naventic really doing a great job collecting as many coins as possible, initiating with the Shrink Ray there on Greymane, but the follow-up, the peel is successful. Poly used very early in this battle.
Turn in. They're going to back away from the situation. Oh, no, they didn't complete the entire turn in there, so this is going to be a risky fight here.
Urho needs a Divine Shield to stay alive, but a massive Maw. They're getting in position. The Condemn used a little bit early, a mistake, but it doesn't even matter. Shredding through the health bars, the reset there on Li Ming, getting another kill, once again resetting, and that will be a turn in. This is a game point situation for Naventic.
If they lose too many, it's going to be game. It's not even going to be a turn in. Yeah, you're going to rotate them in. They're going to end the game right now. They aren't even going to waste their time with the turn in. The turn in will not confirm the kill. They're going to rotate in. Naventic going to ensure the fact that they are going to walk away with this game. And honestly, it came all down to how well they played that last team fight. That 4-man Maw coming out of McIntyre was single-handedly the reason that momentum swing came into their favor there. So really well done in his part here. And Naventic is going to walk away here with game number 1 on Blackheart's Bay of all maps here, Jake.
Not a common first map, and what a decisive end to that with that Maw. Well played by Naventic. Pretty close game, though. Big props to King of Blades Alpha. I mean, they had great decision-making. They knew how to turn it around. The flanks we saw from Lunara a few times in that situation, like, worked brilliantly, keeping them in the game.
Yeah.
But not quite enough. They just couldn't stop the gem collection of Naventic.
I definitely don't think that that game was like, wow, Naventic just blatantly was so high in skill above their opponents that there was no chance. I feel like a lot of it was just comp and small early game decisions led them into a situation where, considering the map, they just didn't have what it took. And then all it took was, like, legitimately that whole game came down to, like, okay, well, your comp can't really deal with the early game, so they're going to turn in, they're going to snowball. Oh, you're finally on even footing. One team fight was all it was, and it was like, okay, you guys clumped up one time with a godlike Maw coming out from McIntyre, and you lost it, and that lost you the game. I didn't feel like it was like, oh, man, there was 3 to 4 team fights, and Naventic was winning, so it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't think King of Blades can't take the second game. I think they just needed to learn from maybe some of the mistakes when it came to the draft.
That's entirely possible. I mean, definitely a good effort. Maybe they'll draft a little bit differently, but that puts Naventic up 1-0 here in round 1 of the group stage. Of course, we have our highlights here. You see that Maw just securing the kill on Tassadar, and a lot of the coins picked up, right? This is the second turn-in there for Naventic. Now moving much later into the game, level 16 even fights. This is when we do see they're collapsing here in the bottom. You see Zuna trying to bully Lunar in the top, the 2-man Maw for the follow-up. I mean, every single time we see McIntyre throw out Maw, it gets a good presence on the fight. But the flank here from Frozen X really pressuring them nicely. The Divine Shield to really make sure Zuna gets out, but Urho left for the Wolves gets picked apart here from Tomster, who then overcommits and loses those 6 gems in just a moment. Going on into this fight, will be chased down in a moment. The resets there on leaving the power of that hero.
I mean, it's crazy. The amount of power that she has is just insane. Getting the resets there, Fan, the only reason he didn't snowball harder. But here is going to be it. McIntyre with the huge Maw. The follow-up, the Condemned, like you said, coming out a little bit early, but it doesn't matter. Look at Zuna. He goes in. He's like, I'm going to spin to win. And then from that point on, you see them spread out, trying to ensure the kills, the fact that they can walk away from the game there, Jake. So just really well done. And I felt like a lot of it came down to comp.
It really did. It really showed off just the power. I mean, even in situations where it looked, did 47,000 damage. That's kind of an awesome factor that we get stats, you know, right after the game like that.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. He was only rivaled by about one other hero in the game. That Tomster on Greymane and Fan were the only ones above him.
I gotta say though, I really liked Tomster and Greymane because he was getting the kills. I mean, he was making the plays happen.
I definitely agree with you. If even you saw that last fight, for instance, during that highlight reel, that situation to where you were complimenting McIntyre for his Maw. It wasn't the 4-man, but the one directly before that. That fight was where Lunara decided to isolate from the rest of her team, and instantly Naventic was like, guys, they can't fight this like this. So they decided to force that team fight, and then you saw Lunara come in for the flank and almost be able to turn it around. But largely, that was Greymane. He hit legitimately, I think, 3 to 4 5-man Qs that confirmed the kills for them. So really well done on his part. He is definitely going to be something that sets his team apart here, Jake.
Well, we'll see if they can bring it back. We are setting up game number 2 here, and we're about to find out which battleground we're going to. It sounds like we're actually going to be on Dragonshire, Dreadnought.
This is my favorite map, and I'm really excited to see where these teams go. I do fear that this is another map that if King of Blades Alpha does not understand what directly they're going for in the draft, they could lose, not directly in the draft, but it's like you have that one moment where it's like, here's our time to take the game, and if you lose it as hard as they lost last game, it will cost you legitimately the entire game.
Yeah, it's all about rotations. Vision is critical. Will we see the same kind of bans on Thrall? It's very possible.
I think the Thrall ban is something you could see come out from, from Naventic. Yeah, some of the bans will be a little bit the same. The comps will be separated as well. They won't be as common. For instance, Falset's something that you heavily will see in this draft.
Oh, with Epic
largely
Mount?
Yeah, with
Oh,
Epic Mount
man.
and the flight. He's a great sustained DPS. He's not a must-have, but he definitely accents this map far better than he does on some of the other maps there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming off from there. Other than that, I think if depending on Naventic and what they're wanting to, how bold they're wanting to get today, I still feel like Chen's an option on this map. We do see the solo laner that he can do, Zagara. There's a lot here, but here they go. They're going to move into the draft. King of Blades Alpha now going to be in that first pick situation here, Jake.
Once again, game 2 on Dragonshire with Team Naventic up 1-0. The first ban on the side of King of Blades. Probably not going to be Rhaegar. They just want to try to force out Naventic into banning that hero. He's the highest priority hero in the game for most situations just because of how flexible he is. Even with multiple nerfs, still has a huge presence in the North America meta.
Absolutely. Falstad, Zagara. There's a ban on Zagara, so I wouldn't
like
be
that a
surprised
lot.
for a first pick Falstad. What that does, though, is it cripples their top lane. It doesn't make it... how do I say this? It doesn't make it to where their top lane is useless. See, they ban out another top laner, so now they're going to pick on the Falstad, but then I wouldn't be
Rhaegar.
surprised.
What about Rhaegar?
That's what they're essentially calling them out.
Yeah.
It's like we've seen this twice today, where the other team goes, "All right, well you choose. You pick one of the strongest heroes in the game, or you lose out on that really, really like risky one type of damages, right?" So like, Falstad that he can provide here. So yeah, there's the Rhaegar. I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of just like the Falstad mixed with any other decent top laner at all, because both the top laners been removed. It makes other top laners a lot more relevant. Sonya, and as I said before, even I'd be willing to say the Chen here, Jake.
Oh, don't get me too excited, Red. Well, we'll find out. Naventic, 2 picks here before we move on. They're considering their options. Falstad with the global presence has a huge impact, but they're going for Li Ming. Will they pair Li Ming with her sister Jaina? They're not related in any shape or form, but I'd like to say they are.
Sonya's going to be picked up there. That was, like I said, Sonya's going to be higher contested for these two teams. And I think with the removal of Thrall, it's going to be really big on their half. And it's crucial with the Rhaegar. I would say that you could look out for like an Illidan, but the map is too small. Remember you were asking whether or not we think Illidan's going to be coming into play. On the bigger maps, yes, this would be a prime situation.
Really?
Just task Illidan. It's very, very hard to deal with in any type of situation there. But the map being so tiny, I would like to see them pull away from it there. And it does look like what you're going to see. ETC going to be the first time second time he's going to see play today, I believe.
The Moonmaster.
And then Jaina for that great wave clear in the 1-4.
Okay, well, Jaina seeing some play here with ETC. Just a well-rounded draft from King of Blades Alpha so far, not showing their hand quite yet. Now going into the next bans, Team Naventic will be banning first. Considering they don't need to ban a support, what would they be worried about? More of those, maybe a frontline hero, Zeratul or something?
I think it's going to come down to whatever DPS they don't want their opponents to face. I think Zeratul is an option. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I think Naventic's in a situation where they're not going to ban things that they necessarily are afraid of meta-wise. They're going to do like, what is just something crazy they could do to beat us? Like, we saw the Abathur last time, right?
True.
It's common. Zeratul is a character who can win every game. Just one Void Prison is all it takes. And it's one of those things where, at least when I was playing competitive, that I would ban out just out of like, I think I'm better than this opponent, and the only way they can win is if they have such an influential hero like Zeratul. But instead, they say no. They're going to look for the Lunara. They struggled with it last game and say that's too much. I wouldn't be surprised King of Blades to move towards like a Tassadar style ban, but there's a lot of options.
Okay, well, they're thinking about their next option. They could try to lock them out of one of those big warriors like Muradin, but there's still Muradin, Stitches. You know, ETC has been taken, but everyone else is still available. Could just be a assassin ban. They know how efficient McIntyre is on Falstad, especially when you have Zuna playing a hero like Sonya going in. Sometimes he saves the Zuna feed from happening before it can be a thing.
Absolutely, and it's a situation where they're going deep into their pool here. Trying to figure this out, really. I'm interested to see what they're...
I just looked over my shoulder to make sure Zuna didn't hear me about saying Zuna feed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good. I'm safe.
I'd be afraid of him. That's tough.
Morales.
Holy cow. Not what I expected. Interesting. I don't know where that's actually kind of going. They're going to be locked in rather swiftly here from Naventic. Any kind of pairing with the Sonya that they can get, they go with the Greymane instead. All right. So they have two options for the solo lane now. They have Sonya and Greymane. Sonya, I would say, is probably a little bit more dominant. It comes down to what they think their better foreman is going to be, and I honestly don't know enough directly when it comes to the Greymane on whether or not he will be the better foreman. I think personally, I like Sonya better in the solo, enough to where I would justify putting Greymane in the 4, but it is a good question here. King of Blade Alpha now, how are they going to respond? Their top laner, who's it going to be? Rhaegar is an option, but he's not necessarily the best. Tassadar is an option too, but not necessarily the best. Doesn't fit their composition that well.
All right, Toronto, they're going for double supports. That could be saying we want to put Rhaegar in that lane, and they're going to look for a little bit more rotations, but what hero would complement for the stuns? Kael'thas hasn't seen a lot of play. I mean, yes, he has a good stun, but I don't know if he fits here.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I would look towards KT. I just feel like they already have a mage. That's not what I'd like to see. I personally would like Falstad. I think the global on this map, there it is. They're going to lock in the Falstad. Now the world is their oyster here when it comes to the last picks here. What support are they going to want? Is it going to be solo Tassadar? Are they going to make that risk there? They picked the Greymane. They denied a little bit of the poke. Falstad doesn't provide that much poke. The hard engage is exactly what they want to see out of King of Blade, but they say nope. They're going to lock in the Uther.
Well, they do have that get out of jail for free card with Divine Shield for both Sonya and Greymane when they decide to go ham or go home. That'll help them get home. And it's just a lot of damage for their team in general. The burst potential as they dive in with the Leeming follow-up. If she gets those resets, this style of play can be absolutely devastating if you get those early kills.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there. And a lot of it, what I'm worried about when it comes to this game is how well is King of Blades Alpha going to be able to deal with the 1-4? Specifically, the 1 is what I'm a little bit afraid of. I just feel like they're in a situation to where I don't see how they're going to deal with that top lane. They're either going to struggle with the top lane or they're going to struggle with the 4-man. And Naventic is an experienced enough team that I don't think the ETC Tyrande combo is going to be that crippling. Obviously, it's good against every level of play, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really justify the suffering that they're going to see in the upper lane.
Well, they are getting ready, guys. This is game number 2. We can see you guys can actually vote on Twitter by using the hashtag HGC and either hashtag Naventic or hashtag KoB. Let us know who you think will advance here. Obviously, King of Blades could use some extra love. So if you're a King of Blades fan, make sure to voice your opinion over on Twitter. This is currently a 1-0 advantage for Naventic. And in a lot of people's minds, they are the favorite for this entire tournament. But let's take a look at who's playing who.
We're going to have Fan, once again, going to be playing that Li Ming. He did very phenomenal last game there. We're going to have Kenma is going to be on the Uther. Sonya will be played by Zuna once more. McIntyre going to be on that Greymane this time. And Urho is going to be playing the Muradin.
And Talking Trees will be on Toronto with Collusion playing ETC. Rhaegar going to be played by Dark Chimera. Frozen X on Falstad and Tomster played by Jaina. But we're rolling into game number 2 on Dragonshire here. The second here in round 1 between Naventic and King of Blades Alpha.
Absolutely, and like I said, I'm really worried about what the top lane decision making is going to be here. Again, the level 1 is going to be won by the ETC Tyrande. It typically is. Anytime there's a Tyrande, 1 through 9 is going to be won by that team. So the head-to-head here, I wouldn't be surprised if it went in favor of King of Blades, but again, the top laner is so worrisome. If they do win team fights, though, that Falstad is going to be a crucial point in their success when it comes to obtaining the Dragon Knight.
All right, well, it looks like all 10 members will just run down this mid lane to clash their heads and slam them into each other to try to do a little bit of damage. Generally speaking, this usually results into a disengage, but the early priority here in the mid lane is because those minions will make it to the center before the minions in the top and bottom lane.
Yeah, and they're just kind of dancing it out a little bit here. The wave clear isn't going to be that dominant for either of the teams quite yet. ETC getting caught out a little bit there, and it might be... it's not going to happen too much. The great raw stun there on McIntyre. That's going to cost him his life. That is one dead wolf. Really well done. The raw stun from Trees and Urho now as well.
The wolf! The feral lunge and a quick 2 for nothing there for King of Blades Alpha. A great start. That power slide we saw for ETC down to hit Greymane just barely.
And that's like, I don't know. That's one of those situations where I just feel like that might have been Naventic kind of biting off a little bit more than they could chew. I mean, it's pretty apparent when you see the Tyrande. You're like, well, does my level 1 actually compete with their opponents? And the answer is pretty much usually no. And so the raw stun was all it took. And they walk up with a 2-0 lead. King of Blades really just kind of saying, hey, we might have a chance here. We're going to try and win this game here.
Yeah, and a beautiful start from them. They're going to be able to control this bottom shrine considering they have the stronger presence, but no, they're actually opting to back away, realizing a rotation could be imminent here. Sonya, we do see Zuna going to control the top shrine for the time being. And it's 1-to-1 even trades.
It's one of these situations where we see the top lane is going to be Sonya versus Falstad. There he is. He's going to be instantly getting to the upper half of the map.
Oh, nice. Nice
yeah, Zuna mistiming a little bit on his Q there. I don't think it would have been a kill either way, but he does end up just barrel rolling out of there and surviving by quite a bit. The 4-man is now, because of that aggressive rotation, going to be slightly won on the side of King of Blades Alpha. But right now, it's kind of just a dance. Everybody making the rotation, trying to figure out what the best call is, and nobody really capitalizing on the Falstad one-on-one on top.
So they desperately need to nerf that ETC skin because it is the noisiest skin in the world, but it's okay. We do see Zuna is really doing a great job bullying back Frozen X, and if he steps out, Kenma is just waiting.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation where Falstad might not win the top lane, but because the rotations between Naventic are going between mid and top, rather than the bottom, which you traditionally see, because keep in mind they don't have kill potential. Oh, ETC gonna get the stun there, but it's not gonna be enough. Tyrande is gonna lose her life for that. The two-man engage, but Kenma gonna be caught out.
Wow.
Jane is gonna be, wow, Thompson.
Mega presence, huge damage from Fan coming through as he teleports in and gets the reset, but we do see Collusion able to back away before he gets collapsed on with the stuns. And with Falstad flying up the top, that does give them control of both fronts just for a moment. Now we have the quick rotations into either lane where we will see Naventic regain control of the map.
Yeah, and that's just a situation where the ETC Tyrande combo, you feel like you have the strong early game, but you forget that if you don't have that follow-up damage, you don't really have too much to do there, and they end up getting an instant pick there on two of the heroes. They're really well done on Naventic, understanding that they were isolated completely. And what I was saying is, though, by not winning the top lane there with maybe that matchup for, say, they're using Rhaegar on the bottom half to try and dictate the pace against Fan, and you see him getting a little bit aggressive, trying to dance around that as best they can. But Toms are going to get the flank. Will Fan make it out here? I don't think he will. That's going to be, yeah, he's going to be going down there really well done, but in the upper lane, he does survive as well. This is, King of Blades is honestly putting on a pretty good show so far with their Miranda comp. The question is, can they do that in the mid to late game? This gets much harder as the game goes on.
Yeah, well, you know, Li Ming down for another 5 seconds. I want to talk about the Tyrande build with Searing Arrows. I mean, this is very much a utility damage dealer support, right? Oftentimes you see the Empower build with Sentinel going for Pierce and Empower to get the reset and get more heals out, especially when you spec into the healing at level 13. But this style, it's really going to be about Lunar Blaze doing additional damage, resetting that Hunter's Mark and using it as often as you can. Very powerful style for her, for sure, especially paired with ETC.
Absolutely, and it's one of those situations where how this format keeps going, and whoever gets the first DK, I don't feel like they're going to give that big of a lead, but I do think that if they're on even footing for too long, Collusion with their kind of comp, their pick comp, here that goes on the bottom half of the map, it might be a struggle for them. Kenma looking to engage, but he might be too far. Ooh. Stun coming out.
Big power slide by Kenma backing away, dodging the Lunar Flare. King of Blade Trees is actually very low, but able to retreat in this situation. The double support working out nicely, but Collusion is going to go down.
It's one of those situations where the struggling Zuna instantly on mid. Really well done on his part. So it's one of those situations where, remember we were talking about losing that top lane? If you end up losing that 4-man at the same time, Sonya is able to rotate as fast as possible to the middle half of the map, ensuring the fact that they're going to get a DK there, along with the picks. Naventic showing off their skills right there. Really well done on his part. And you're going to see they're going to be patient with this DK. There is no reason to commit suicide and just go really hard in this front wall here. Be patient with it as best you can, and really just force a split pushing there. You see Zuna's on top, but they're tri-laning on bottom. The reason for that is going to min-max essentially the amount of XP they're able to get on their opponents.
I mean, look at the damage Fan can do from afar.
Yep.
Safe pokes, but the rotation here, we do see a lot of damage being dealt, but McIntyre with the jukes gets out with that Dark Flight, and he's able to escape. Absolutely brilliant response there from McIntyre.
Yeah, and really big shout out to Kenma right there. That was really big cleanse in order to ensure, like, he had perfect reaction time in that type of situation. So, and able to ensure that McIntyre is going to walk away there. And again, Zuna dancing in the top lane with his patience, walks in the top front wall, and bottom getting half the front wall as well. Naventic's now ensured a half-level lead, but in the mid lane.
All right, Dwarf Toss will successfully get him out. A bit of a mistimed Lunar Flare there from the Tyrande, so they missed their opportunity, and Urho gets out unscathed. But we do see a lot of mercenary camps available. Just the one giant camp has been picked up so far in this game, I believe. But Team Naventic really closing in on their heroic abilities, and especially pushing in like this, that will just about secure it.
Yeah, and we see that they're backing out, getting the Giants here. They're going to siege up with these Giants most likely and trying to ensure that their level 10 gets pushed as hard as it can. Whenever you get a 10 advantage over your opponents, you never want to just be like, okay, that's cool. You want to force the fight, and if you can't force a fight, then force an objective. Expect that to come out of Naventic here with the half level that they still have before King of Blades Alpha makes anything happen here. There you go. A little bit of siege on the front wall there. Giants pushing on the bottom, and really they've established kind of dominance on this map so far. Even though they're facing an early game composition, they're the ones with the level lead here, Jake.
All right, yeah, I mean, they're really starting to push in. You mentioned those Giants in the bottom. Uther just kind of hanging out, trying to make sure they're as safe as they can be. Level 10 around the corner for King of Blades Alpha, working on getting their heroics so they can look to take a fight. No critical damage has been done during either the Dragonite or that heroic advantage, so I'd say that it is a nice win for King of Blades.
And this is a situation where we're talking about the diversity of Li Ming. Look at her build compared to the last game there.
True.
She's going to see, the Seeker's going to see play now. Instead of that Calamity style play, she's going to be looking to get that poke wherever possible because she doesn't have a melee that's directly going to get onto her. Yes, you do have ETC Tyrande, but is Calamity really going to be effective in that type of situation to save you? You're either dead or you're not. Barrel roll going to come out there, and now these teams, I want to see King of Blades abuse their global here and try and be a little bit patient and then cap the top shrine a little bit later. Otherwise, I feel like they're going to express too much information, and Naventic's really going to capitalize here.
Okay, Jaina really thought about that heroic ability, does opt to go for the water elemental. Now, in the fact that in the event we have a mage battle, that will be very useful, but Ring of Frost does have big implications with Mosh Pit. Zuna gets some light pressure. The hammering actually missing there, so Zuna will be able to just mount up and back on up and then control this top shrine, evening it out 1-1.
And this is one of the situations because the night camps was timed properly. Now Naventic's actually capitalized by getting both of the shrines at the exact same time, even though two of their players from King of Blades Alpha were in the upper half of the map. They still lost the shrines there because of the wave being pushed, and now this is going to be a risky fight here in the mid lane. Probably a 5-man rotation for both teams. Here it is over this. Rhaegar still on bottom. Keep in mind, Jake.
Yeah, Rhaegar is not going to be there for the Ancestral, and they actually sneak out the Dragon. Very early Falstad just gets burned down like he's nothing, and a desperate Shadow Stalk from Tyrande just to keep Collusion alive. He taps the well. His health is fine, but they've already lost a hero, and they lost the Dragon.
Yeah, that's a worst case scenario there. It was a 4 versus 5. You could tell they didn't want to take the fight, and then they didn't. But they also failed to appreciate the fact that Zuna came from the Fog of War and just solo capped that there. Now 13th advantage is going to be picked up. They're down a man here, and really Naventic is honestly in a really good position. They're going to clear on mid, rotate to the bottom half of the map now, try and get bottom as best they can. Notice how, again, they're split pushing here. We see 2 people rotating to the upper half of the map, and then Zuna's rotating to the bottom half of the map. Really well done here, trying to min-max as best they can, using these early DKs that aren't that good to capitalize and get as much as they can. Never committing too hard with the DK here.
Yeah, I mean, just nice, safe pressure in the bottom. Only 10 seconds remaining on that Dragon, and Collusion is power sliding in. The Lunar Flare is successfully connecting there. We actually see Cleanse was used early in this fight on McIntyre, but Collusion almost goes down, but the Gus is there at the last moment to peel for him. Well used there, 40-second cooldown. Always phenomenal for disengaging.
Absolutely. They did end up using the disengage and keeping themselves alive, but they also lost bottom fort in the process, and the Merc camps are going to be up on the lower half of the map. I wouldn't be surprised for the capitalization, but oh my goodness, that is one dead Jaina. The stun from Urho and the follow-up there. Fan securing the kill there, Jake.
That was a bit out of position. I'm not really too sure. I mean, just really overstepping your bounds.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to get a little bit too aggressive knowing his opponents were on the upper half of the map, but I feel like it's just kind of King of Blades Alpha trying to make something happen with fear that this game is maybe going to snowball a little bit too out of their favor. And again, another prime example, the Gus coming out with that very low cooldown, but are they going to need that to keep somebody else's life later on a little bit up higher? And now the race is 16, severely being lost here.
Is even a race at this point, Dreadnought. 3-level lead for a moment for Naventic. 2.5 realistically, but I mean, that is a sizable advantage 10 minutes into the game.
It's beyond sizable really at this point. So what you're going to see if I was Naventic in this situation, because you have 16 tier advantage this high over your opponents, you just cap Giants. If they fight at all, you just try and kill them at 16. They are going to try and get the invade K. Wait till you get 16, stack as many mercs on the lower half of the map as you possibly can together, and just siege with them. Because your opponent has so little things to be able to deal with that type of situation here.
Okay, well, we do see the one Merc camp does get picked up by King of Blades. Level 13 talents were just picked up by them. So Giant Killer on Falstad, phenomenal. We actually have, is that going to be Spirit Walker on Rhaegar?
On Rhaegar here, yes, it is going to be. I believe it is, yeah. No, Tidal Waves, excuse me, for the 13 chains there, but Toms are getting caught out.
Beautiful Gust, and the Shadow Stalk barely getting Jaina out. That's actually a really big win for them to escape from that situation.
It is, but it's like, I'd almost rather see King of Blades Alpha because of how the scaling stacks here, right? If they keep using Gust to disengage and barely survive, they're going to stay 3 levels behind. It's actually a winning trade for them to just try and 1-for-1. Every situation, instead of disengaging, just try to go 1-for-1. Because right now, you are doing nothing to try and come back in this game. And here we see Collusion going to be picked out a little bit here, and the bottom shrine already won by Naventic.
Huge damage. The Ancestral Hill cannot connect McIntyre, and Fan with a huge damage. Collusion going into the water. That is a cow drinking from the well, and Jaina will join him.
Yeah, and that's going to be a DK here over on the side of Naventic. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to push it on mid or bottom. I personally would prefer bottom just because, again, the map objective, or excuse me, the Shrine's going to spawn in that lane. So it's one of the most valuable lanes to be pushing here. And not only that, then every one of the Giants and most of the Mercs go to that lane. There you go. Urho automatically rotating the bottom. Again, the prioritization of lanes very relevant here at the top level of play. Really good job here from them. And it's honestly Naventic's game to lose at this point. Their composition is good in the later half of the game. Greymaine's now hit a spike. Li Ming's a very powerful hero. Sonya's great all around, and their opponents don't have that great of late game scaling, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be able to maybe even get a couple picks here and maybe look to end now.
All right, well, so much damage being dealt from the Dragonite. He's just saying happy 20th birthday, Pokemon, as they knock on this keep. Dragonite's a great Pokemon.
He is a great Pokemon. And look at Collusion trying to make something happen here. Honestly, I know you're like, well, they aren't 16. Like, why would you try and do that? But personally, like I said, I would like to see them try and take something and go 1-for-1, because if they aren't trying to capitalize on those type of situations, they're essentially doing nothing to try and make a comeback into this game. They do not directly outscale their opponents on most fronts. So really well done. I wouldn't be surprised after this Naventic back out of the DK, paint the map blue as best they can, keep pressure, and keep this up. It's a rinse and repeat at this point. It's King of Blades' game to make a move. They're like, hey, we're far enough ahead that you have to make the drastic play, not us. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. And we've just seen the big safe plays, you know, coming out left and right. The damage of Greymane at 16, post 16 with Concentrated Blast is just disgustingly strong, paired with Mirror Ball. Crazy, crazy burst damage if those two put their abilities in sync. Like you said, painting the map blue is exactly what's happening. We do see the Bruiser Camp picked up there on the left side of Naventic, and now they're going to work on the bottom Bruisers to boot.
Yeah, it's again that exact situation. You guys have to answer to us. And remember that prioritization of laning we were talking about? This is where it comes into play, guys. Look at Giant's going to be pressuring bottom lane, which has no keep. Knight's going to be pushing bottom lane, which has no keep. It's very crucial. And then you're like, well, that's not that important because they'll die to core. But guess what? That's the lane where there is going to be the Shrine. And that lane with the Shrine, oh man, look at him trying to make something happen here. Naventic actually looking to get a little bit too hypey possibly, but over the wall. Fan unleashing that disintegrate there,
okay,
Jake.
The Gust goes out. Urho is still in, and that puts him in a bit of a dicey situation, but the self-sustain is there. Lunar Flare and Hunter's Mark pick up the kill, but the huge damage from Fan over the wall. Ancestral Heal going to top off one, but Trees cannot stay alive. No, barely sustaining through, but the Ancient Spear of Zuna takes out Rhaegar with trading ETC on the left side. 3-for-1 for Naventic.
That was a really good job on Fan's part, getting the blink to try and ensure that. That is almost likely, yeah, most likely going to be one dead Jaina here. Uther's mounted up. That is going to be it. She's going to fall apart here. And that's going to be 4 people dead. They might be looking to go to core, or
look
no,
at
they're going to be
the bottom lane. There's no keep. There's huge mercs.
It's one of these things where it will actually die on the core, right? So it's not going to get that much. So they're going to instead be ensuring the fact that they get mid-keep. Once they get mid-keep, if they don't manage to get the picks, they'll just most likely back out, get a free DK, rotate through the bottom half of the map, get 20 tier advantage, and then look to end the game. Again, it's just so hard to come back on this map if you don't make those aggressive plays that we need to see out of King of Blades Alpha.
Well, the shield is taking a good beating here, but the double catapults and Giants should be cleaned up in time, especially with that minion wave spawning, so they will not take any structural damage, but they lost another keep, and they're about to lose these top towers.
And that's like, you saw that camp pushing in the bottom half of the map. That's what I was trying to articulate with that prioritization of the lane. They now get free look at top pushing. They see if anybody wants to contest top, they know. Anybody want to contest bottom, Naventic knows. So it's really their DK to win. But he went to get the cap, and the D-shield came out. That was actually to ensure the fact that he gets the cap. Miscommunication out of Naventic.
All right, here, a lot of damage going there onto Urho. They actually Gust back, but Tyranic is picked in the back, and the reset there. Fan is just going to town, shredding through their health. McIntyre diving in. The Dragonite will be picked up in the back of this. An Ancestral Hero, too little, too late. Frozen Axe and Jaina, the only two still alive. I don't think they can defend this.
They definitely can't at this point. That's going to be 4 people dead for 30 seconds minimum here, and there's going to be a 15-minute DK pushing on the core. And this is, I mean, very good showing on the side of Naventic here. This game was played very well on all fronts. I mean, the score coming out to 16-4 against a Miranda-style composition, not allowing any form of picks against them, Jake. Really well done on the side of Naventic, but don't count King of Blades Alpha out. I really do feel like they put up quite good games here, and a lot of it comes down to a little bit of draft and maybe a little bit of nerves.
Well played there by Naventic. A 2-0 victory in the first round of this tournament over their opponents, King of Blade Alpha. They will advance to the upper bracket finals here in Group A.
Yeah.
versus Tempo Storm.
Versus Tempo Storm. That's going to be a phenomenal matchup out of those two teams. And a lot of the hero prioritization that we saw be a little bit different in the first set. How is that going to change when they go when they go up against Naventic here later on? I am absolutely excited to see how those matches are going to play out, specifically with kind of like Zeratul there. But there you go. You see the sportsmanship out of Naventic moving over there to give the handshake, the GGs, and really well done on their part, Jake.
And of course, while the King of Blades Alpha, they're not out of it yet.
Nope.
The next match is going to be King of Blades Alpha versus Panda Global.
Oh, man, and that will be really good. Both of those teams, I feel like, have a really good games up against each other. But here we see in the highlight reel here, really good level one. That the tempo of this game started so much in the favor. Look at that, 2 picks. Urho going to be chased down here. The 5-man focus fire. Look at that out of them, out of this, Jake. And then Thompson, the reverse here in the early game. Yeah, the reverse. Li Ming getting the resets there. Really well done on Fan. The snake DK from Zuna. Really well done.
Man, Fan is just so beastly on that hero. He comes with those flanks and he just blows you up. And with Greymane, the double power of those 2 new heroes really just picking their opponents apart. And you can see it here, controlling all the mercenary camps, controlling and dictating the power of the map to secure themselves as dragons that we saw on Sonya a few times. It's every time there's a kill, it's Fan's involved.
Yeah, I mean, he did it all game. He was just like being very aggressive. You saw him even get a blink in and then just ultimate up there. But
alrighty. Well, we've got an interview here with Zuna. Take it away, Anna.
Indeed, we do. I am here with Zuna. And Zuna, you guys, there was a major catastrophe that happened right before you guys started playing, right before Naventic jumped into that match. What happened, Zuna?
My glasses broke when I put on my headset, so I couldn't see with one eye.
And they were just kind of hanging off your face on one side, right? So you did this on hard mode, basically. How was that?
That's why I fed game 1.
Well, feeding game 1 as it may be, you guys did emerge 2-0. In terms of predictions, most people, because of the way things were seeded and because you qualified so early, people were assuming this might be that kind of match. Did this match go as you guys thought it would?
I think it went pretty well. I think more than anything, we're just getting the jitters out of us, so we're not playing as good as we should, but I feel we'll play better later the day comes.
You guys have been around. I mean, you guys are no newcomers to this scene, but your team is kind of a new thing. You just recently got picked up by Naventic. How does that feel? How has the organization changed things?
It helps a lot, actually, because you have lots of stress when you're playing for nothing pretty much, so having someone that will back you and just releases a lot of stress just helps.
Well, you did an awesome job, one-eyed, either way. And Casters, what do you think about that, him playing with only one eye this time?
I had no idea that was the case during that, and you know,
I mean, I didn't either. That's pretty impressive. That's all I got to say about that. It's just I can't imagine playing with one eye.
So let's talk about Sonya. I mean, you prioritized Sonya quite a bit in that draft. Do you think she's really got a strong place? Because in North America, she doesn't seem all that common overall.
I think it just came down to we didn't want to reveal too many strats, and Sonya's just a strong hero, so we felt like as long as we had a strong core, 3 heroes, then it didn't really matter too much.
It definitely seemed that way, I feel like, for the most part. From our perspective, is just understanding that you guys have that kind of confidence and that you were going to walk in just knowing that she's such a good hero and just not revealing anything. And do you feel like overall that how long do you think you're going to be able to keep that up? At what point do you think you're going to hit the point where you're like, maybe we have to do something?
I feel like it's going to come down if we feel we're either going to lose or it's the matches to go to Korea.
Okay.
You guys will be moving on to face Tempo Storm. How do you think that match is going to go?
I think it'll go good for us, but you never know with Tempo Storm. They're pretty random. Some games when they play on fire, they're really hard to beat, but other games you have question marks.
Well, unfortunately, I have to wrap it up, but I did want to mention I heard your motto repeated to me backstage, and your motto that you wrote down was eat big, bleep big, poop big, live big. Did you do that in this match, and if so, how so?
Not too much, but I don't really like to eat before games, so I really couldn't do any of it.
Okay, well, maybe next time. Guys, we're going to see you very, very soon. The next match is going to be Panda Global versus King of Blades Alpha. Don't go anywhere.